to The Middlemen, the show where we tackle real-life disputes and seek fair judgments. Join me to welcome the juror from Rabbi, Barrister Evan Sufeli, who will be breaking down the Senate's power between Natasha of the Kogi Central Senatorial District and Senate President Godswill Akpabio of Akpabio Northwest Senatorial District, and Juror Henry Igwebuike, who will be talking about former President IBB's book launch, while I, Juror Innocent Adulugba, will be pleading to the government to stop piling debt in the hands of their embassy workers. That will be just after this short break. We will be right back. Stay with us. My case: let Nigeria stop owing workers in their embassies worldwide. Foreign reports has it that 450 foreign service officers in about 109 Nigerian missions abroad have yet to receive their salaries. For how long? Over the past 6 months. One of Nigeria's iconic newspapers, The Punch, recently reported that officials serving under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are in financial distress and cannot pay rent and children's school fees or meet other family and social obligations because they are yet to receive their salaries for the past 5 to 6 months. An embassy or a high commission is the main office of a country's diplomatic representatives to another country. The diplomatic mission or foreign mission is a group of people from a state present in another state to represent the sending state or organization officially in the receiving or host state. A key purpose of an embassy is to assist citizens of its home country living, working, or traveling overseas. Embassies and their branches, called consulates, are necessary for both routine administration and emergency situation, or help citizens become citizens of that country where they reside. Embassies help to build and maintain political, commercial, and cultural relationships. As it stands, Nigeria has reportedly a total of 76 embassies, 8 consulates, and 18 other diplomatic representations in about 94 countries around the world, 45 in Africa, 16 in Asia, 3 in the Caribbean, 20 in Europe, 10 in the Middle East, and 5 in North America. My verdict: do we need all these embassies in all these countries, or can we run as few embassies as possible so we stop owing our compatriots in foreign lands? I so submit.
Beautiful. I think this is actually a wake-up call. You know, as much as is despicable that Nigerian the federal government is owing its staffers in different parts of the world. At the same time, I equally want to question the reason why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for close to 2 years now, had not, deemed it fit to appoint ambassadors even in the first place. You see, this is when we talk about deficit in leadership. When we have a leader, right, it is natural that because there is leadership, every other thing runs. Imagine if we had ambassadors representing Nigeria in all of these embassies, about 109 of them. Issues of allowances, I don't think, would not be a problem. The federal government has been owing them for 6 months, and in that length of time, we've not had ambassadors, right? So what we have are maybe secretaries or whatever it is representing us in such consulates, and it's a big problem because we don't even know who to channel our problems to when we do not have ambassadors, because it's very important we understand what these ambassadors do. They are like our eyes and our ears. When we have diplomatic issues, the ambassadors are those responsible to taking care of some of them. When we have internal problem, right, internal publics, it is the ambassador whose responsibility is equally to take care of some of these problems. And one amongst them is the allowances, you understand, that's being owed. So it still boils down to the table of the president. And since this administration, May 29, 2023, it's been one mistake after another, a roller coaster of mistakes, that we Nigerians just wonder why we would continue to do trial and error in an administration that's been there for close to 60 plus years. This is the first time I would love to believe that over 2 years we've not had ambassadors, and ask the president or those within the corridors of the presidency why that is so. Nobody has answers to you. Maybe they are waiting for a situation where they will still do their normal transactionary sort of appointment to decide who they give such portfolio. But I think it's truly very despicable, like I did say before in my opening submission, that Nigeria should be owing staffers their salary for close to 6 months. Couple of years back, not even couple of years, just last year, just before this administration, the federal government actually gave foreign embassies, about 53 of them, like 2 weeks to pay their ground rent, amounting to about $5.83 million in Abuja, right? And told them that if they don't pay such ground rents, that the allocation of such lands will be taken away from them. So this, brings to the question.
Foreign embassies in Nigeria.
Foreign embassies in Nigeria.
And then what are we now doing?
Exactly. And we can't even pay our own, staffers, money that's due them. It's actually very, very appalling.
Well, let's take Barrister Ofeli from the Rabbi. Your take on this topic, please.
Yeah, if I get you very clearly, because I'm trying to piece my case together. Your case is largely on foreign mission, right?
Yes, owing their staff for about 6 months.
Yes, and the debilitating condition that rises across the Nigerian stratosphere in industrial disputes. One of the undoing of our government is its inability to cater for the workers who supposedly are the engine room for both internal and external appropriation of governance. Now, you are talking about those on foreign mission. Even those in municipal missions, those in the country, there are a lot of sectors where you have the same issues. Are we talking about pensioners? Are we talking about those who work in strategic places? And the many times that the government have made things difficult. Are we talking about NLC? I think NLC is warming up for a strike now. Or ASU, or which part are you going to talk about that you don't have crisis and conflict around? Okay? So part of why Nigeria is not growing is the debilitating condition under which our citizens work. And that is why corruption is in high places, because people are not sure. There's no even industrial stability in terms of labor security. So people want to grab as much as they can grab at every point in time. If you go to the root of this lack of payment for 6 months and all that, corruption is underneath it. Someone is using that money to trade, or some persons or group of persons are using that money to trade. Not like the money is not available, but the bottlenecks and the unnecessary, staggering administrative procedures that make things cumbersome and difficult is the reason you cannot piece this together. And the ripple effect of this is that it now put us in a point where we're not able to meet up with so many things, even internationally. We're not able to meet up. I mean, and at the same time, we'll be asking that we want investors. We want investors to come in. And these investors that you want to come in, they're looking at your governance pattern, your administrative system, and how you go about governance. And they can't really understand governance here. So they're not going to come because the ones that are here are living on the basis of the same issues, where there's corruption in the power holding industry, there's corruption everywhere, police everywhere. They're not able to stay. They're not able to stay, so they leave. They are asking that new ones come on. You're not on a new leave, or you're asking for new ones to come and all that. So our problems are cumbersome. And I think that these people should be paid, okay? And the government must look intensely into what will grow the Nigerian state, what will bring it back to glory. As I speak to you, there's no plan, there's no structure, there's no strategic roadmap anywhere as to how to grow Nigeria and bring it back to glory. There's nothing like that. All you have is just they'll tell you that this government is working so much that the government will subsidy in a few months or a few years' time. You see Nigeria will come back, it's good for it and all that. But things are getting worse by the day. Cost of living is not even as defy economic principles and the rest of that. So if the government want to show us the way out, they should do that and do that quick. And they should make sure that we get to a point where we're able to reclaim the glory and then show forth to the world, because we are being disrespected all over the world. The only reason why we're respected is because of entertainment and sports. That's the areas where we're respected all over the world, entertainment and sports. Other than that, if you're talking about any other issue, nobody really cares about.
Okay, thank you, Barrister. From the discussion in the studio, you can see that it's down to corruption, administrative poverty, and possibly a lack of welfare of workers. I think all of these are direct messages to the right quarters. When we return, Juror Evans will be breaking down the Senate spar between Senator Natasha Akpabio and Senate President Akpabio. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to the Middlemen of Jurors. My case. I am not afraid of you, Natasha blasts Akpabio. Senator Natasha Akpabio's action towards Senator Akpabio, the Senate President, during the recent Senate dispute, has drawn several key points that can be highlighted to underscore her stance and the broader implication of the situation. Senator Akpabio's refusal to comply with the sitting arrangement is indicative of her commitment to democratic values. Legislators are elected representatives of the people, and their voices should not only be heard, but also be respected in parliamentary discussions. When Senator Akpabio asserts that she won't be silenced, or she won't be silenced by the other senators, she symbolized the necessity for open debate and challenge the hierarchy structure that might inhibit constructive discussion in the Senate. As a senator representing Kogi Central, Akpabio has a duty to advocate for her constituents. Her defiance against the leadership authorities can be seen as a demonstration of her commitment to ensuring that the interests and concerns of her constituents are not overlooked. Her vocal stance highlights the importance of standing firm in the face of opposition, especially in matters directly affecting our legislative role and the representation of her people. Disputes over seats or sitting arrangements can reflect deeper issues related to fairness and equality within the legislative body. Akpabio's resistance to what she may perceive as an unjust and an arbitrary reassignment resonates with many who value equal treatment in political space. Her challenge to the leadership could potentially urge reform in how decisions are made regarding sitting and other parliamentary privileges, advocating for a more egalitarian approach. The exchange between Akpabio and the Senate leadership, or Senator Akpabio, shed light on the importance of healthy dissent in governance. Democracy strives on debates, and leaders must be willing to engage with differing views. By standing her ground, Akpabio promotes an environment where diverse opinions can flourish, ultimately leading to a better decision-making and representation within the legislature. As a female senator in the predominantly male political landscape, Natasha's stance is particularly significant. Her refusal to be silent challenges the stereotype and expectations that may exist against women in leadership positions. This not only empowers other women in politics, but also sends a powerful message about the need for inclusion and respect for women's voices in governmental processes. Leadership in the Senate should be exemplified, or should exemplify the principles of accountability and respect for all members, regardless of their positions. Akpabio's confrontation of Senator Akpabio serves as a reminder that leaders must be responsive to their colleagues and open to criticism, or be open to criticism. Promoting a culture of accountability can ultimately strengthen the Senate and improve their effectiveness. My verdict: Senator Natasha's action reflects a broader struggle of visibility and respect within the legislative framework. Her determination to voice her opinion and stand firm against authority is a vital aspect of fostering a functioning democracy. By defending her right to participate fully in the Senate activity, she reinforces the significance of active engagement and representation, and the critical role of dissent in shaping effective governance. She read from the House rules, to emphasize and reinforce her position on the matter under reference. Even when the Senate President, Akpabio, shut her down and ordered her suspension and removal from the floor of the House, she continued to ensure that she put herself forth and make sure that her constituency is respected and her duty as a lawmaker is preserved. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Awesome.
Okay, maybe let me start from that. It's the Senate President and Natasha Akpabio. It's an issue that is dividing. Is dividing opinion. Some reports have it that the Chief Whip, Mohammed Mongono, had already reminded her of the need to move to a newly allocated seat, which was predicated on the defection of Senator Ned Nwoko from the PDP to the APC, and such seat allocations are common in the chamber. So that's why I say divides opinion. People would think, some say, upon being prompted by the Chief Whip, Mohammed Mongono, she should have possibly listened to what is normal. Possibly that is, and that if she does not move, she will not be recognized by the Senate President to speak from that old seat, as it were. And so in the unfolding melee, the leader of the Kogi Senate Caucus, Senator Issa Jibrin, has on behalf of Natasha apologized, and we get reports that Natasha has also been enjoined to apologize on the floor of the Senate. So For some people, she is pushing for the rights of a fair hearing and the capacity to represent her constituents. For others, it's a resentment of existing ground rules, written or unwritten as it were. But I think it's also a test case to the managerial ingenuity of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Most time there will be topsy-turvies, at times not contemplated from the beginning if we leave it to lawyers. But precedents and occurrences help to create these balances. The chief whip and the sergeant in charge were among those who I would say sought to have forceful exits. That I find a bit extreme, but possibly it was an exigency at the time. Again, there are takeaways, like you have pointed out in your case. It's a minority ground for females. So I think that is brazen from Natasha. It also positions her as an Amazon for the voiceless. And I think maybe arising from this, there should be new learnings. Maybe look more at the issues of defections, which has prompted these new seat arrangements. But at a time like this, Nigerians would like the Senate to provide seamless leadership. Maybe we should go back to planning, organizing, coordinating, directing all of the post-decom as it should be. And at the apex of it should be crisis management, because that hallowed chamber is also a governance window to the world. I don't know, Henry, what you have to add to that?
Yeah, so I would love to look at this particular case from two vantage points. Number one is it's becoming really ludicrous that Natasha is becoming more casting emotional blackmail.
Well, yes, she had one in July last year.
On the person of Godswill Akpabio.
Yes.
And making Godswill Akpabio look chauvinistic.
Well, he does look chauvinistic because last year he had to go back to apologize to Senator Ireti Kingibe of the Labour Party in the FCT, having accosted her earlier. The same Natasha, he went back to apologize. So, from that case presentation, I said it divides opinion.
But I wouldn't want to see it that way. I wouldn't want to see Godswill Akpabio as exhibiting chauvinism, you know, in any way. Rather, I would love to see it as a case of haphazard method of dealings in our hallowed chambers, like you did say. If you take a look at two common nations in the world that all equally practice what we do. United States, which we borrowed our presidential system of government
from. Congress.
Yes, and also the UK, the House of Lords.
Yes.
And you take a look at their seating arrangement, is the same with the Capitol Theater, also in the United States, in the Capitol Hill. Now, how it is arranged is very simple. To avoid all of this shenanigan you see happening today in Abuja.
It's not a name allocation.
Now, how to do it both in the House of Lords
and House of Commons.
Yes, and the House of Commons, the House of Lords, and even in the Capitol Theater in the United States, is this: that the sitting government, senators from the sitting government, right, sit to the right.
Okay.
Opposition sit to the left.
And it's their business how they come.
However, yes. So they do it in line with party affiliation.
Yeah.
Right? So with that, it is so very simple. So when you sit with your brother, you can avoid to sit. You can sit anywhere you want to. Your male partner can stand up and you sit. You tell, I love this seat. He stands up and you sit. So it is no problem. But in Nigeria, we all make all these very simple things look very cumbersome, rather than these people sit, so do the same thing.
It's a sit as you come thing.
Yes,
in your allocated corner.
But yes. I think that Akpabio should have avoided this or Kabera. You see, because why I fault Akpabio is that you are the leader of the house, okay, and as a leader, yours is to ensure that you lead the led to a point of destination. It is not you that will be picking up quarrel with the lead. You are supposed to be, providing solution when house members have disputes, and they are the one, misunderstanding themselves. You are supposed to be a big brother who will be the one to now provide solution in terms of dispute resolution. The conflict should not be you versus the Senate. You are first among equal.
Yeah.
You understand? That's why I fought Akpabio. And what Akpabio ought to have done when Natasha read out from the rules that a senator a member of parliament, can at any time raise issue. Once you have cited that, all you need to do is to tell those people that are trying to distract her to calm down. Everybody should calm down. Let Natasha speak. It's soft power. You understand? Not like you are weak, but you know what you are doing. Let Natasha speak. Okay? Then after the house is done, everything is done. You cannot have a caucus meeting where she'll be. She's not very experienced in the house. You understand? This is our first outing. Okay? Even though she's a lawyer, this is our first outing. Then you will now, put her into the fact that somebody have told her before, they have briefed her that she ought not to sit there, or there's this thing. It's not enough for someone who is a follower. Remember, she's coming from a constituency. When you throw her out, you are throwing out a constituency out. A senatorial district is what you are throwing out. A senatorial district will have my state may have up to 9 local governments. You understand what I mean? You know what that is? Yeah, I mean, who will sit down? I mean, people from Kogi Central, all of them will sit down and be hailing Akpabio. This woman is a symbol. She's a symbol of a larger group of persons. You understand? So when she starts to act the way she acts, all you need to do is to apply tact. Don't exert your power on camera. You don't have to do that. Allow her to speak. Allow her to speak. Let her speak. She says she will be comforted. You understand? But when you start to banter, you are telling her, take her out immediately. She's going to take her on suspension immediately and all that. You are not just fighting her. You are fighting a larger constituent. And as a politician, this will count for you in future. So Akpabio wants to contest for president. See, he was even contest for president. How did he even win his seat, which is a discourse for another day. So that's my only grounds. I'm not saying Natasha was right, but as a leader, you have to stoop to conquer.
Yeah, thank you. Very well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. When we return now, Juror Henry Gwewike will be talking about IBB's book launch. Please stay with us.
I welcome you back to The Middleman. My case. The confession at IBB's book launch. At the book launch titled A Journey in Service, the autobiography of former Nigeria's military head of state General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida IBB, he said, and I quote, "Although I am on record to have stated after the election that Abiola may not have won the election, upon deeper reflection and a closer examination of all available facts, particularly the detailed election results which are published as an appendix to this book, there was no doubt that MKO Abiola won the June 12 elections." End quote. The long-awaited autobiography, which was reviewed by former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, was released today, February 20, 2025, at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. Osinbajo disclosed that IBB admitted that the late Moshood Kashamau or Lawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO Abiola, won the June 12, 1993 presidential election. He quoted the former military general in his book that if he had to do it all over again, he would do it differently. My verdict: I hope that someone would someday give clarification and confession on who really won the February 23, 2023 general election. But must they rig elections and disrupt the polity only to write books as confession? Yes.
I think I would like us to take Barrister first on this.
I would like to read I would like to read the book. Okay, I'm just searching online now to, see if I can order the book as quickly as possible, because that expression that Abiola actually won the election is not enough. Not enough. We know that, from the outing, what happened pre the election and post the election, and the crisis that erupted the country as a result of that annulment. Even the INEC chairman then, who pretended over the election, who is now late, also has also alluded to the fact that that election was well won by Abiola and the rest of that. So we've heard all this, okay, but what we've not heard is the truth behind the annulment, okay? Because what the federal government, the IBB, put out there at that time is perhaps falsehood, because the things surrounding the whole dispute that threw the country into an avalanche of discord, okay, have not been properly unraveled, and penalty for wrongdoing at that time have not been meted out on anyone, except that the protagonist himself is the one who had to pay with his life and that of his wife, which is to say that the victims themselves, those who suffered the loss themselves, were the same persons whom their blood were used, to wash away the truth and cover sin with lies, and we have lived with these lies that is giving us a run for our life in 2025. Okay, so admitting sin in a book. So what will be the consequence of this action? The Oputa panel tried to address it. The Oputa panel failed ostensibly because it didn't have an enforcement. It was not even brought under an act of parliament. So it didn't have the virus. Okay, it didn't have the probative and legal standing to address the issue the way it ought to have addressed it with penalty in mind. So now that there's a confessional statement in law, it is said that the confessional statement is sufficient enough to convict an accused person. Confessional statement with no other evidence is sufficient to convict an accused person. In the case under reference, this confession is not being made before the court of law, but all the same is confession. Okay, so now what will be the penalty for this offense, and where would culpability lie, and how will this recompense for the life of the disease, the victims who are supposed to be the protagonists and who have turned out to be the victims whose blood have been used so far? That's the question that posterity is asking. Would there be a penalty? I put this to you.
All of this, I think, is a test of the Nigerian legal system or a test of our laws. Like we discussed in the Natasha Akpabio saga, as a lawyer, certain aspects of law are not contemplated until events happen. So I'm wondering if somebody, in quote, a less persona than the former military president make this kind of confession, if they will still be left where they are. I'm just wondering. I'm not even after what follows. So I think there is a lot of overlordship in Nigeria concerning government officials. There's a lot of untouchability. There's a lot of what we generally will call impunity. Because beyond the protagonist losing their... You can recall the brutality in the murder of a woman, a defenseless woman, Alhaja Kudirat, at the time. You wonder what, okay, she was not an aspirant. What can be the name of her offense to be cut down in her prime? Emotional damages to children, family members. That's one. Like you say, he threw the country into an avalanche of mayhem. You can imagine the widespread losses. And so when this kind of thing is made, are we to read the book and just flip the page and go away and say, oh, he finally confessed? Because if you, as a lawyer, barrister, there is something called the long arm of the law. I think at this stage, we need to test how lengthy that law arm is. There is the former president, is it in Spain or Chile, Augusto Pinochet. I think the law was long enough in arms. The arm of the law was long enough to bring them to book, you know. So I don't think there's any. 1993 is 32 years now. That is somebody's lifetime. You know, there are people whose children or peer or sibling have died. And so if you are looking at a 32-year-old now, you are imagining the life that would have been lost correspondingly on the flip side. So I don't see the book as something to rejoice about. I think the beginning of development in Nigeria will be the enforcement of responsibilities and reprisal, reward, sanction, reward. When that is commensurate, possibly we get responsible enough and progress towards development. Otherwise, I'm also wondering what will be the local standing, what will be the rationale for with this kind of confession. We need to hear the rationale for the annulment. I think that can extend meaning to this confession. That's why I rest my case.
Yeah, it's very true. You know, as we wait, patiently wait for the long arm of the law to take its course, I asked a very important question on my verdict. I just sincerely hope that the just concluded February 23, 2023 election would in the future not happen the same way like we just noticed or have experienced now. When someone will come and say, this is the person that actually won that election and not this other person. Because it's very important as we look back into history, we equally try to avoid history repeating itself in the present or the future. So I guess that is the most important thing for me and to lots of Nigerians whom sincerely feel that good governance starts from doing the right thing at the right time so we can avert consequences that would come in the future. So that's my take. Yes.
The reason put forth before now, this current confession in the book seems to negate the reason put forth by the military Supreme Council then. Okay. There's a discordant tune here. Okay. So this current statement seems to be retracting what was said 32 years ago because it's at variance. So what it therefore means is that what was said 32 years ago was falsehood. Okay. Because they painted all kind of picture like he declared himself, you know, and all that and things like that. But if you are now saying today that you actually won the election, are you therefore saying that you lied to the populace at that time? And if that was a lie, what is supposed to be the consequence of that? And if after that lives were taken, you know, protests happened, so many persons were injured, so many killed. In fact, one of our colleagues, you know, got blind during the protests. Okay, you know, I don't want to call names now, but he got blind during the protests and all that. So when you put all these losses together and you benchmark it with the, you know, confession of a bomber or the confession of a past president, for want of what to say, for want of the right word to use, head of state. My only pain or worry here is that in Nigeria people get away with wrong. people get away with wrong. Okay, the man who was alleged to have shot Tupac. Okay, the investigation, had been on since that time until just last year when they lay hold on him, and trial is ongoing now. And in this trial, he has been able to make a lot of statements, confessional statements, and a lot of arrests have been made. I mean, the Tupac was just a musician, not a government official, not one who led the country or at any point in time or whatever. Just a private businessman who happens to be a musician, a rapper. Okay? In our clan, investigation takes how long? I mean, Bola Ige, Harry Marshall, Michelle Williams, all those that were killed politically, then even the one we're talking about now, Abiola, and the wife, Kudurat, and all those losses, they were actually the outcome of that annulment. So through that annulment, murder have been committed, people have been killed, and people have been rendered homeless, and people have been rendered fatherless and motherless and all that. Should this come without a consequence? I'll leave it to Nigerians to answer the question.
Very true. We can go on and on. The question still remains: who actually, made this possible? Of course, the confession is there, but of course, we will continue to wait for what would happen at the end of the day.
Well, I think it behooves it's a test for me. It's a litmus test for our judiciary. Haven't heard a confession like this. Is the leg too heavy to make the next move? And like I said, were it to be, in quote, a lesser person's confession, would I be sleeping happily at home after that kind of confession?
All right. I think we just have to let it slide here. Thank you so very much, Rabbi Evans Ofeli, for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Innocent Aduluwa.
Always a pleasure.
Always. And people, that's just about the time we have on the Middlemen. Please do well to check up on us. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike, and I'll see you next time on The Middlemen. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye from us.
Take care.